Gundy's really starting to get in the players, the type of players he wants for his system. I think he's a good coach. And, I think they could be one of those teams that's not just trying to pull an upset to spoil somebody else's season, but could really be playing for their own playoff berth late in the season.
Well, you know what? We've talked about 4 of the teams in the division, and we left out the one that, at the beginning of last season was the biggest threat to the Cleveland Cavaliers, and that is the Chicago Bulls. A team that is so talented everywhere, but it seems like for years they cannot get over the hump. Is the window in Chicago closing? Yes or no?
It's an interesting question because in some ways it seems like it's closing. Joakim Noah is getting a little older. Pau Gasol is getting a little older. While they're both pretty good players, you could see some evidence of aging in their games, and that they're important to Chicago. The Bulls need those two guys to be healthy and ready to go. On the other hand, Nikola Mirotic is only getting better. I really like his potential. What he showed last year was already pretty good, and I think he has definite room to make it to the next level. Jimmy Butler is just really learning what he can do as a star-level player. It seems like he's constantly figuring out, how much he can impact the game. And then the big question is Derrick Rose. I don't know if he can get back to the Derrick Rose we saw when MVP. Maybe his athleticism is a little too diminished. But if he can get a little closer, that could change everything for them. So I do think they're fighting to keep their window open, but they do have the pieces to make it interesting if things break the right way for them.
Interesting thought on that one. It's a good thought.
Shoot. Now, kind of lastly, who takes the division? Who takes the Central Division this year?
I'm going to go with Cleveland. I just think they're loaded with talent. LeBron's still in his prime. Kyrie will get healthy at some point, and they have the depth behind him to be fine with Mo Williams. I think Kevin Love has become one of the league's most underrated players. He had a down year last year, but late in the season he was really showing he could fit in. They have all the pieces in between Mozgov and Thompson and Shumpert and J.R. Smith. I mean, they're a balanced team. They were dominant last year. I don't see any reason it should be different this year.
That's a very, very impressive thought, even though with Kyrie and Kevin Love being injured, Kyrie, we don't know his coming back, and, Kevin Love coming off injury. But you're right, Cleveland's extremely talented. So before we go, Dan, before I let you off the line, we always play 3-point play. 3 questions, 30 seconds, everything NBA related. Mark, tag in. You got the first question for Dan.
Okay. I guess, keeping with the Central Division, right? Everybody talks about Stanley Johnson, but Miles Turner was on fire in the Summer League. I thought he was the best player in the Summer League, for the rookies. Do you see him having, any type of impact, with that Pacer lineup?
Absolutely. I'm a big Miles Turner fan. His mobility, his shot blocking ability, the way he can shoot it a little bit. He's the type of guy who could really help them bridge the era they were in before to this next era where they want to play up tempo. If he's ready to go sooner than I think, it might take a year or two, but the sooner he's ready, the sooner they're ready.
We're talking about suitors for the Cleveland Cavaliers. This is my question for you, Dan. Last year was all about, the Chicago Bulls in preseason. Then it was Atlanta in the regular season. We know Atlanta's lost some pieces, and we know Chicago is, like I said, with injuries. Who is the biggest threat to Cleveland from stopping them for the NBA Finals in the Eastern Conference?
I think it's the Bulls. They're so loaded with talent, and if Fred Hoiberg can give them a different element, get them healthy for the playoffs in a way Tom Thibodeau wasn't willing to do, it could be lights out, but it's wide open. There's not one team I really like to challenge Cleveland. I think it's Cleveland and a big drop to everybody else.
Mark, last question.
Okay. I guess, when you look at the Eastern Conference and, you talk about the Bulls and the Cavaliers, do you think the Heat can get in this mix and just be like, we can challenge one of, both these guys, for a right to go to the finals?
I'm glad you brought them up. They're definitely a contender, and like I said, it's a deep group of those teams in the second tier. But if Miami's healthy, Dwayne Wade and Bosh have played like all-stars when they've been on the court the last couple of years. I'm a big Hassan Whiteside fan. He's a difference maker for them. And we have players like Luol Deng and Goran Dragic just kind of as glue guys. That's a real complete, balanced lineup. I really like what they could do.
Dan, before we let you out of here, we want to appreciate you coming on the show tonight to start the Central Division preview. So before we go, how does everybody get in contact with you? What do you got coming up and, all those wonderful things so people can find you?
You can find me at Dan Feldman, NBA, on Twitter. You can also read my stuff at NBCSports.com. We're going to have some more analysis the rest of this week on some of these late season or late off-season contracts, teams filling things out for training camp, everything else going around the league, and kind of a dead time, but it's always interesting.
Yeah, it's always, it's a dead time for some people, but for us, it's 35 days left until tip-off. So, you have to you got to get yourself excited somehow, because if you're a fan of an NFL team that's in a bad area, it's not exactly good. So, but we have plenty of basketball things to talk about. But Dan, we want to have you back on again soon, and we want to appreciate you coming on tonight.
Sure, anytime. Thanks for having me.
Dan Feldman from NBC Sports and Pro Basketball Talk with us here on NBA Full Court Press, sponsored by SOFOELLC. And Mark, we have a minute or so before the break. We're talking Central Division right now. And you mentioned Miles Turner and you mentioned Stanley Johnson as, some of the top impact rookies in that division. Is there one more rookie on that scale that can possibly challenge to be the best rookie in that division?
In that division, one more rookie. I think those guys, are right, maybe a little bit ahead, but that the guy that the Bucks have, the shooter of Rashad Vaughn, I like him. If he can make shots, get on the court, he plays defense, nice size, I think he can get in there and get in the race somehow. I think he's a good player, underrated. I like him.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought him up. He's one of those guys that people thought about. And, a guy you talked about in one of your other articles before, Bobby Portis in Chicago. I like him, and even though he's in a crowded front court with Taj Gibson, Mirotic, Gasol and Joakim Noah, the Bulls front line haven't really been healthy. Noah hasn't been healthy a lot. Gasol misses his share of injuries. He's good for a calf strain or a hamstring pull sooner or later. And Taj Gibson hasn't been healthy in 2 years. So I like Bobby Portis. You mentioned Vaughn. I like Portis as well, too. So you have two guys that can make, big impacts. And speaking of rookies, Mark, you had an article this week on the website, your Super 7. You want to give people a quick rundown on it real quick?
Yeah, I think this is probably, if these 7 players enter the draft, and, we're talking Ivan Rabb, Brandon Ingram, Thon Maker, Ben Simmons, Jaylen Brown, Sheck Diallo, and Skal Labissiere. I know I'm not saying that and pronouncing that right. Skal, don't kill me. But anyway, these 7 guys, they all can play. I think if the rule was, like you can enter the NBA right now, like those guys will all be in the draft. I think they will all, have fine rookie seasons. I think all these guys are ready to do some damage. I know a lot of people talk about Ben Simmons, Thon Maker, I think has the most upside, and the most ready-to-play prospect is Ivan Rabb. If you like a guy who really knows how to operate in the post, watch that guy do a lot of things, a lot of damage for Cal, University of California, Ben Simmons at LSU. It's going to be a fun college basketball season with these 7. And Brandon Ingram, he's my wild card. He's a guy that can really shake and bake, so you're really going to like him. Check the article out. I have video footage on all the guys. You're going to love the article. It was fun to write. It's fun to watch. It's fun to watch these guys, and can't wait to watch them during the season.
Check it out on NBAFCPRadio.com. But we're going to take a quick break, and we're talking more Central Division when we get back from the break. This is NBA Full Court Press Radio on 740, sponsored by SOFOELLC.
Slow traffic eastbound I-4 between Michigan Street and State Road 434. An accident in this area causing these delays. Also, westbound I-4 is slow from Lake Mary Boulevard to State Road 434, and then from Colonial Drive to about the 408. You want to look out for delays also northbound along the 417 from Colonial Drive to about Red Bug Lake Road. If you see traffic problems, call the Safe Touch Security Tip Line, 866-676-8477. From the Traffic Center, I'm Catherine Davis.
The Open Mic with Mike Bianchi.
You promised that if Chip Kelly cut Tim Tebow, we would not have this conversation
Okay,
again.
but
you promised.
The Texas governor has made him news again. Yes.
No.
The Texas governor.
No.
Hey, this guy's a reputable governor of one of the biggest states in the union.
Mike Bianchi, weekday mornings at 6 on 740. The Game. Somebody has to wake up that early. Looking to expand your reach and following in all platforms of media? Need a jumpstart in expanding your brand to all markets across the world? SOFO is here for you. SOFO means something for everyone, and they help expand your business through all platforms of media. Need to grow on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram? Their experienced team expands your brand and puts your business in places you would have never been before. Call SOFO at 407-607-9862 or follow SOFOELLC on Instagram and Twitter.
Welcome to Late Night Parents. I'm your host, Ted Hicks. We have a weekly podcast where we sit down and talk with game changers in the sports, technology, education fields. We even do product reviews and giveaways. Why, you ask? Because we're all parents. So if you're ready for an up-close and personal look, then you can check out our podcast. New episodes are available every Thursday. Catch us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter. That's Late Night Parents. The site is latenightparents.com.
Any Napa guy knows, and science proves, the best minivan is the one you've already got. Park kid transporter, park drywall mover. Who cares if the faux wood grain is a little faded? That was a platinum package option in 1987. With over 400,000 parts and a little Napa know-how, you can keep anything on the road. Because it's not old, it's vintage. That's Napa know-how.
Big Guy here for Cycle Rider Radio, 8 to 9 a.m. on Sunday morning on 740 The Game. Brought to you by MyHomeBuildersNetwork.com. Check them out at MyHomeBuildersNetwork.com.
Trans-Siberian Orchestra, the live debut of the Christmas Attic, presented by Hallmark Channel, Saturday, December 12th, 2 shows at Amway Center. Buy your reserved seat tickets now at LiveNation.com, Ticketmaster, the box office, or by phone.
Football fans, the Smoky Bones on East Colonial Drive has just been renovated, and we know what you're thinking. Who gives a Well, did we mention double the number of brand new high-def TV screens? Or sipping $3.75 big beers and savoring hickory smoked wings while watching your favorite games? Who gives a The answer is you. Smoky Bones Bar and Fire Grill. Visit our East Colonial location or find one near you at smokybones.com.
Your citrus trees could be under attack from the Asian citrus psyllid, which can spread the virus that causes the deadly citrus greening disease. Stop the madness with Bayer Advanced Fruit, Citrus, and Vegetable Insect Control. The mix and pour application protects citrus trees against the Asian citrus psyllid and other destructive pests. Help stop the Asian citrus psyllid from spreading the virus that causes the citrus greening disease on your citrus trees. Bayer Advanced Fruit, Citrus, and Vegetable Insect Control. Get more from the blue bottle. BayerAdvanced.com. Always read and follow label directions.
Hey fans, this is Eric Kohler, stadium voice of UCF football. We invite you to tune in to EK Sports every Saturday from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. as we feature the preferred picks of the week, insured by our good friends at Preferred Benefits Consultants, where it's always fun to pick those games of the week, but never a time to gamble with your health care. Find a Preferred Benefits Consultant at OrlandoHealthExchange.com. That's the letter X, OrlandoHealthExchange.com, and start saving today.
The home of the black and gold. 740, The Game.
We are back for Full Court Press Radio, sponsored by SOFO LLC, 407-916-8255 if you're in the Orlando area, or if you're nationwide, 800-729-8255. Thanks to Dan Feldman from NBC Pro Basketball Talk for being on the last segment. And so, Mark, we're going to transition back into the Central Division preview. You know, we're talking about everything in the Central Division for the next half hour. So if you have any questions about your favorite teams, or you want to just, shout out your favorite teams, like I said, you know how to get in contact with us. Mark, let's go team by team. Let's start with the Central Division champions, the Cleveland Cavaliers. Pick one guy off the team, that people need to watch for. We all know LeBron, we all know Kyrie, we all know Kevin Love. But in your opinion, who's the one guy on the team you need to watch for this season?
I would say like this. I would have to go with Mozgov. He's the guy who makes a difference in the paint. He's a true 7-footer. I thought they went away from him a little bit in the finals. I think he's the guy, that can make a difference on the defensive end that really can get Cleveland to where